Hey there everybody, today we're gonna do a bike fishing trip on one of our favorite stretches of river. But before we push off, I'm gonna share with you guys some tips on how to carry a fly rod with you on your bike. We get asked this a ton. So these are our 3 favorite ways to carry a rod on bike. The first way, and probably the easiest way to carry a rod with you on bike, is to simply just strap it to the back of a rack. A couple pro tips is each rod tube actually has a handle, and you want to pass the strap there at least once. This prevents it from accidentally sliding off the back of the rack. Another pro tip is to have the opening of the rod case on the rear, so you have quick access to the rod when you finally get to that piece of water you want to fish. Another place where you can mount a rod tube is on your handlebars. Works better with flat bars, drop bars not so much, but imagine if this were a flat bar. Again, same method, you can just use some straps. If you have a front basket, that makes a perfect place to strap down the fly rod. Another place where you can store your rod when going bike fishing is actually in the frame bag. For something like this, however, you definitely want a travel size rod. This is the Redington Trailblazer, so it's a 3-weight, 6-piece rod. You can see the individual pieces are fairly short. Your bike frame does have to be long enough to accommodate this. You can see it fits perfectly on Laura's bike, my bike not so much. But basically, just open up your frame bag and then you can put the individual pieces inside like so. And I know what you're thinking, all those methods are great, but with each of those, the downside is you have to reassemble your rod every single time and it's gonna slow down the fishing. So for today, the method that we're gonna use is kind of a balance between portability and quick access to a complete rod. For this, you'll need a couple things. You'll need your rod assembled. You'll need the reel case, so go digging for that, as well as a rubber band. So what you wanna do is take your fly off, and then, so you want to reel it up so your fly is on the tip here. It's kind of held by the tip eyelet. Next thing you want to do is find kind of the middle point of your rod. I believe that is over here. And then disassemble it, very carefully fold it together. Take your rubber band and use that to hold the top section. And then you take your reel case, and this will hold this whole bottom part, like so. This way you have your rod mostly assembled, the reel is on there, the line is on there, you've got the fly ready to go. It does take a little time, you do have to reassemble it in half, but a lot quicker than building up the rod from scratch. I'm gonna take this partially disassembled rod and then just carry them in the pannier, like that. Super simple. We hit the water, reassemble the rod, get our fish on. Speaking of getting our fish on, let's do just that. Are you ready to catch some fishies?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. All right, trying to get an early start before it gets too hot. Cool in the shade, but check this out, guys. I mean, it's just friggin' epic here. See any fishies?
I didn't happen to see any fish. There's definitely fishy water down there.
So we often get asked as to like why go fishing by bike, and probably the simplest answer is that some of the best places to fish are also some of the most beautiful places to ride. Another reason is that in some instances it can actually be an advantage. Like this road is super narrow. There are some pull-offs, but they're not that frequent. So going by bike allows you to stop wherever and throw a line in.
For me, as the designated driver, it's a lot easier to look over the edge to the river on a bike than while trying to navigate a car down a windy, narrow road.
I think another thing to consider if you're gonna go fishing by bike is whether you want a bike ride with a little fishing, or if the primary focus is to fish, because you can't have both, or you can't do both very well. So here, we're prioritizing the fishing, so it'll be low miles, but lots of fishing stops. Okay, so we've settled on our first stop of the day. Nice long run, pretty decent depth of water. Should be at least 1 or 2 fish in here. And I think we're gonna work opposite ends and see what happens. Safety fishing helmet. So let's see what we can catch.
You might need that helmet going down the scree.
I know, it's a little butt slidey here. Whew. Okay, so usually first couple casts will get the fish. Come on, fishy. So a little early, not an obvious hatch yet, but we did want to get out before it got too swelteringly hot. The real trick is to hit multiple bits of water to not linger too long, so you just cover a lot of water. Any luck? They might still be asleep. So one of the essential skills is kind of knowing where fish are going to be. There's a saying that 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water, so trying to find that 10%. So there comes a point at every bike fishing trip where we're just like, screw it, I'm not breaking down the rod anymore. So Laura's just gonna ride with the rod in her hand, and I'm just gonna put the whole complete rod in the pannier. Pannier packing, it has its advantages. On this trip, that moment came a lot sooner than others. So how's the shifting with the handhold?
It's a little tricky. Nothing I can't handle. Other thing you really got to watch for when you bike with your rod like this is not stabbing a tree.
Second stop of the day. Does not suck. Does not suck.
Does not suck, Russ?
Yeah.
You promise?
Well, the fishing doesn't suck. The catching, I can't speak to that. So for this trip, both Laura and I have opted for trail runners just for a little bit more traction. Oh! Small one, very fishy. So Laura caught a fish stick, little small guy. When you're done fishing this middle part, like try that broken water across the bank. So Laura is fishing close first, before any kind of hero cast the other bank. A lot of times the fish are like right in front of you, and you want to make sure you get those first before spooking them. Also, I don't know how well it will show up on the camera, but there's this thing called broken water. So that's water where it's not a perfectly still surface, and you want to use that for cover. And that's generally where fish will lay too. Because if you think about it, they don't want to be spotted by predators, you know, birds and stuff, so that's usually a good place to cast. I think we just might be a little early. Like these fish are on a kind of a hipster brunch schedule, and it might warm up in a bit.
Hipsters.
There's lazy fish in their avocado toast. That's why they can't buy houses. Decent sized one. I don't know, that might be the river monster for the day.
It was pretty good. What was that, 10 inches?
About 10 inches. It's a nice bend in the Trailblazer.
It did.
I think we're gonna flip it here, ride what we previously rode, and maybe refish some parts that were in the shade, but now it should be warmed up. Sometimes, just a matter of timing. so Laura's fished this main stream, now trying to get to the broken water on the other side. Oh, yeah! All right. Whew, it's getting hot. I'm gonna give this little run here a try. Want to know something completely hilarious? Like I mentioned, we had lost our net earlier. Found it! Oh, jeez. Hey Laura, guess what?
What? Yay! I was wondering if we had stopped here.
Yeah, apparently we stopped here earlier. Yay! Got one. Nice. Maybe about 6-7 inches. Nice little cutthroat. All right, so it's working my way over. Laura cast out the chubby and the water exploded. Fish took the chubby with it. We're gonna give it another go. So what happened back there? For those that missed it.
Yeah, so that was the kind of take that legends are made of, right? I don't know, this fish just like exploded out of the deep. And like by exploded, like I'm not exaggerating, maybe a little bit, cause legend. But yeah, it just, I drifted a purple chubby and it just like, I mean, you heard it. It just like out from below, somersaulted and took the fly. I, you know, set the hook as fast as I could, but man, it was gone. It just like ripped right off, and it's definitely a river monster down there.
There you go.
I mean, it's kind of cool to know that they're there, but also really frustrating when it's like, oh man. Just like, it exists only in my mind and nobody watching this video is gonna believe me. So that's fishing for you.
But what'd you think of the day?
I thought it was a nice day. That's it. I mean, it's a beautiful area. It's a beautiful ride. I would have liked to, you know, reel more fish in, but it's nice to find them.
Yeah, sometimes finding them is all you need.
I mean, it's, if you don't find them, you can't ever bring them in, right?
That's true.
So,
Finding them is the important part. So this is our kind of first more serious outing with the rods, and they're pretty good. I mean, these are 3-weight, 6-piece. I think they're a little bit over 7 feet, so a little bit on the shorter side, right?
Yeah, which I think it makes it a good rod for this skinnier water.
Yeah, you can kind of poke in between the branches and stuff when you're bushwhacking. I found the rod a little bit on the stiff side, which ended up being good because it could toss a big fly like a purple chubby and get it out in the water. So far, pretty impressed. That's it for this video. If you guys liked it, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know, if you dig this content, consider supporting us on Patreon or buy a sticker. We've got the new Retro Party Pay stickers in the store. So as always, everybody, keep the supple side down.